Have you ever dreamed of not having to worry about what you should be posting on Instagram to get more comments? It can be really stressful, and with all of the things on your to-do list, both as a parent and a business owner, Instagram content can get pushed to the end of that list. But at the same time, you want to share content with your followers so that you can get more comments, more reach, new leads, and more sales. If this resonates, you need my new content calendar, 1 month of conversation starters. You'll get 1 month of Instagram posts for free that will not only help you with knowing what to share, but also knowing what to share that will get you more comments on your posts so that you can start more conversations with your followers. More comments means more reach and more nurturing so that your followers convert into buyers. You can grab 1 month of conversation starters at sociallyyours.biz/content-calendar today. Welcome back to Mompreneur Mastery. I'm your host, Sydney O'Brien, and today I am super excited to share a conversation that I had with Jessica Hacker. Jessica is a pro at helping moms combat overwhelm and live more intentionally. She shares some really amazing tips that I've already started implementing and have already felt just this big weight lifted off of my shoulders. I know that all moms, especially mompreneurs, are constantly dealing with these feelings of stress and overwhelm and anxiety from these never-ending to-do lists. If that's you, this is going to be an episode that you do not want to miss. Welcome to the Mompreneur Mastery podcast, where we share actionable Instagram strategies that fit into a busy mom schedule so that you can get more engagement, more leads, and more sales in less time so you can spend more quality time with your family. I'm Sydney O'Brien, an Instagram strategist who started my business with 3 kids under 5 and found a way to do it without sacrificing quality time with my family and only working 2 to 3 hours a day. I love helping other mom business owners find that seemingly impossible mom work-life balance instead of spending too much time creating content that isn't getting them the results they want. If you're an overwhelmed but very ambitious business owner and you want to strategize the heck out of your Instagram account so that you can save time and make more sales, you're in the right place. Jessica, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I'm Jessica, as you said. I am also an entrepreneur. I am a coach for overwhelmed women and business owners. So I know how it feels to be overwhelmed and just consumed by life, and I don't want other people to feel that way. So outside of business, I also have a toddler and I have 2 very crazy hyper dogs. We spend a lot of time outside. We go fishing, hiking, all the things, going on walks. I also enjoy making crafts with my toddler, and he loves to help me bake. So my life pretty much revolves around my family and being outdoors as much as we can, obviously not in the winter when it is like 5 degrees outside.
That all super hits home. My kids love crafting and being outside as well. It's really hard in the winter though, because I hate the cold. They kind of love it. So it's always this battle of wills of will we go outside? How long will we stay outside?
Yes.
It's rough.
I'm such a sucker because he'll be like, "Mama, go outside. Mama, go outside." And then we'll go outside and 5 minutes later he's like, "Mama, cold."
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that. So what made you want to be a mompreneur?
I've just always loved carving my own path and kind of doing my own thing. It just intrigues me, and I see people, like, having the ability to go on their kids' field trips, or if their kids are sick, being able to stay home with them, or just, taking off early in the summer to go spend time outside and go do all those activities. And meanwhile, you just hear a lot of negativity about, like, working moms and, like, they're always missing out, and I don't think that's necessarily true, but I love the ability and the freedom to be able to be, like, present with my family and my toddler and, not miss out on those milestones. I'm not saying that I would, you know, if I was working in a different setting, but this is just what I really like. And like I said, like, I am a driven person, and I just really enjoy being able to do my own thing and something that I'm really passionate about and feel like I'm actually helping people and changing the world and not just sitting behind a desk, scanning papers and doing paperwork all day.
Yeah, that's like such a big part of it for me too, like finding something that's actually fulfilling and also being able to like be there for your family when they need it. That flexibility and like freedom of that aspect is huge.
Yes. And I hear, like, some of my other mom friends are like, "Oh, like, my kid's going on a field trip today. I really wish I could go, but I'm out of PTO for the year," or, they haven't built it quite up yet. Like, I really feel for them, like, because I feel like moms are made different, especially working moms. Like, it's not really a sense of, like, always wanting to do the thing, but sometimes, out of, financially, because obviously, like, money is a factor,
Yeah,
but
for sure.
it makes me so thankful that I have the flexibility that I do, and especially in this time of, like, having a kid.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really nice to be able to have that flexibility for sure. So as a mompreneur that does all of these like activities with your kid and your high energy dogs, what does your like planning process look like? Like how do you do it all? How do you do everything on your to-do list?
It's so funny that you asked that because people are like, "How do you do it all?" And I'm like, "I don't. I just pick what matters to me, and I do that. Like, what's
Yeah.
important to me, I do what I want." But and I'm in my trash the to-do list era. I'm like, to-do lists are so overrated. So what I do every single Sunday, I just do a brain dump, which is exactly what it sounds like. Anything that I think might be somewhat important, I put it down on this list. And sometimes I have a full sheet of paper, sometimes it's like a quarter sheet. It really doesn't matter. For example, my brain dump recently was, okay, so, I have this podcast interview. Oh, I also need to, you know, check my dog's foot because he stepped on something the other day, just, keeping updated with it. And then I was like, clean the kitchen. Like it can be anything. And even if it's just mildly on your brain, put it down because once you get that out of your brain and onto paper, you can finally kind of stop thinking about it. And then I take this list and I put either an N as in need or a W for want. So, like, I need to do this week. So, if my kid has an appointment, we need to do that. Or I just want to dust the house, every square inch. And then what I take that list, I break it down and separate it. That way I physically cannot see the wants. And I schedule my needs into my calendar. And then if I have any space, I'll put the wants if they're important, or sometimes I put the wants down and I'm like, I literally don't even want to do this, but I just like feel the mom guilt that I have to do this. And I schedule it into my planner and then I just like stick with it. That's sometimes the hardest part is putting it in your planner or calendar, whatever. I'm a paper girly and then just do the dang thing. And I always schedule enough so that I have gap space because if I try to put way too much into one day, then that leads to feeling overwhelmed and then frustrated. And then, like you can beat yourself up about that. So from that day, I pick a big three for my intentions for the day. And if I only get three things done, and it's those things. And sometimes I don't even get all those done. That's okay. Sometimes I get them all done and then more. So that's just how I schedule my life. And some people say that it's a little overbearing or like, how do you have any fun if you schedule everything? And I'm like, that's the key. Is like I put, the free space and I already have my big three done for the day, and then I can just do whatever feels right.
That makes so much sense. And there are like so many parts of that that I love because I definitely have noticed, like, when I plan my things, all my things for my kids, if I don't write it down, like, write every little thing down, I will just get so overwhelmed, and it stresses me out so much. So that brain dump sounds amazing, but then adding, like, the needs and the wants is genius. I have such a hard time prioritizing and, like, trying to fit everything in, so I'm definitely gonna try that.
Yes, for sure. And my clients, they're the same way. So you're definitely not alone. Like, and I used to be this way too until I learned this system and got brutally honest with myself. I'm like, okay, Jessica, like this is actually a want. I don't need to do this. Like,
Yeah.
my survival and, like, my family's survival does not depend on this task. And a lot of times it's like, tidying up the house or something like that. And I'm like, okay, my kid is just gonna get the house dirty again. Like, it is not, you know, I guess messy. Messy is more of the appropriate word than dirty. Like, it's just messy. It's really not dirty.
Right. Yeah. And it's so interesting that you brought up the mom guilt too, because I feel like so much of it is like mom guilt. You think there's this expectation of all these things that need to get done, but when you think about it, does it really need to get done?
Yes, exactly, exactly. And there's so much comparison since we are just so, I guess, at each other's fingertips, which is
Mhm.
good and bad. But I've noticed for like myself, sometimes when I go down that little rabbit hole of the mom guilt, I'm like, okay, how much time am I actually spending scrolling? And I'm like, oof, that's my problem. So that's another thing is like
Yeah.
I'm trying to be more intentional about like where I'm putting that time and if it's, healthy for me or if it's making me feel just bad about myself.
Yeah, that's super important. And I'm on social media a lot because that's what I do. And I have to set some serious boundaries around that too. It is so easy to get wrapped up in what you see online and then have to pull yourself back and remind yourself, wait, you are seeing like the tiniest little slivers of people's life. This is not an accurate depiction, and you should hold yourself to those standards.
Yes, exactly. Tell me more about the boundaries that you set, for yourself because you are a social media guru over here and you obviously, you know, try to keep up with all the trends and everything that's going on.
I will literally set timers so I don't get sucked in. If I'm doing engagement, going on to like leave comments on things or going on to find new real audios to use, I will set 5 or 10 minute timers so I don't just keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling.
Okay, I love that idea. Like that is so simple but so genius because it's not a whole
It's very,
wrote out plan kind of thing. It's just like, okay, 5 minutes right here. I love that.
yeah, it is just way too easy to get sucked in. And then before you know it, an hour of your life is gone.
Yes. Yes. No, I love that. That is I'm gonna have to start implementing that.
Yeah, it's a big game changer. It saves me a lot of time and that, like, mental anguish of, "Oh my gosh, am I not doing enough as a parent?" Because I see, like, all these crafts and, like, special activities and these super clean houses, and I'm like, "My house is a mess," all
Yeah.
the time,
But,
but
and like
it is just, like, not real life.
yeah, and like what we talked about, like you only see a sliver of their life. Like you don't know, maybe they have more help than you do, or they have family that lives close, or they have a housekeeper, or maybe they're just like super artsy and their Pinterest equals reality. That is not me though.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Just, like, super awesome reminders. It's very hard to keep in mind, but so important too.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, so you mentioned that you love being able to forge your own path. So it seems like you're living very intentionally. What does that mean to you and how do you do that?
So intentional living to me just kind of goes off of like what my priorities are. And so for me, my priorities are my family and doing things day to day that I enjoy and that makes me feel like I am like making a difference or that just feels fulfilling to me or like I'm hitting my purpose. So, like I said, spending time with my family, being outside, like I love being outside. So, of course, now my son loves being outside, which kind of bites me in the butt in the winter, but that's okay. And my health and like taking care of my family. So, you know, trying to get that daily movement in, even though, having young kids, it's hard to do that sometimes because they want to be so involved. But that's also another segue to teach him, here's daily movement. And it's fun to not necessarily be healthy, but just like move your body. Not so much as,
Yeah.
teaching him that, a health aspect, but just we do this because we like it and because it's fun. And like I said, I've been trying to spend less time on social media because I know how it makes me feel when I'm spending a lot of time on there. So I have been like putting my phone in a different room or leaving it by the door if I walk into that room or I almost lost my phone the other day, fun fact. I put it on top of the microwave because I was like, "Oh, it'll be out of sight, out of mind." It was out of sight, out of mind for a long while. And I was like, "Oh shoot, where did I even put it?" But I didn't even miss it is the thing that I've noticed is when I put it away from me, I don't even think about it. So just intentionally living to me is doing what feels right, what feels good. And this is such an experimental process. And it's going to look different for everyone. I used to think that, oh, like, I want the big corporate job and like make lots of money, like, look cute every day. And I'm like, really? That's not what feels good to me. I want to help people one on one, especially like other moms and business owners, because there's such, it's a balancing act between working and having kids or even staying home with your kids. No matter what you do, life is a balancing act, and there's so many moving parts, and honestly, it's impossible to do everything. So that's why I rely on, like, the systems, like the brain dump and, like, planning my week. And then also another part of living more intentionally is having the guts to say no. I used to be such an, like, anti-no. I would say yes to stuff even if I really didn't wanna do it, and I would drag my feet to that thing, and then I'd drag my feet home, and then I'd complain about it, and I thought, like, "Okay, but really, how is this serving me? It's only making me feel worse, putting me in a bad mood. Like, this is just, like, it's not worth it." So I started saying no, and, I mean, for a former people pleaser, that kinda makes my gut go in knots, but I've noticed that after I say no to that thing, I really don't think about it again. I don't think like, "Oh, I wish I would've done that," or "I wish, I would've gone to that thing," or, "Oh my gosh, this person's gonna hate me." Like, it's just it's added so much mental clarity and just a sense of, like, freedom.
That's amazing. I love that so much. So much of this is resonating. So my family, we homeschool our kids because that's just what meets their needs right now. So that finding your purpose, doing what suits you is so spot on. I love that so much.
Yeah. And exactly, like I said, everyone's different. Like, yours right now is homeschooling. Mine right now is, being able to spend more time with my kid. I mean, yes, he's a toddler, so he's not going on field trips or anything, at least that I know of. I mean, maybe daycare takes I'm just kidding, they don't. But and just helping other people because I was, like, chronically overwhelmed and stressed, and I didn't realize that, like, my body was literally telling me all this because I would have migraines literally 2 days a week, and I'd have headaches 3 days a week. Like, so, 5 days a week of headaches and just feeling so anxious. And I just know now that I don't have those feelings, how much better I feel. And I don't think that we're meant to go through life just feeling so gross and stressed. And I know we only get one life and everyone says that, but the older I get, the more that actually means to me.
Yes, I completely agree. I love that so much. I also, when you have put these pressures on yourself to go with the super conventional, what is expected of you, all these things, doing it when it doesn't serve you, the anxiety is so real. The stress, just like you said, it comes out in ways you don't really expect, feeling it in your body. Yeah, I'm so glad that you are doing what you're doing and helping moms get past that because I feel like it's especially prevalent in moms.
Yes. Moms carry a lot of the mental load, and a lot of times, they're taking the kids to appointments or keeping track of everything, planning the meals, all that while working. So we're doing all the duties of like multiple people. And
Mhm.
it seems like, in this day and age, we don't quite have the village that they used to always preach about. Like, find your village, because a lot of people don't
Yes.
really live close to their family. Or they have friends, but they don't wanna burden their friends with asking them to do things because they also have kids. I feel like we're just so much more conscious about, like, the mom guilt and, like, what others will think, which I understand that, but also you don't wanna get yourself to a point where you're just like, your body's in freak out mode because your nervous system, like, literally can't. And
Right.
it takes time, like, it's not gonna happen overnight. But being aware of actually how you're feeling and how you're doing is the first step.
For sure. And it's like a huge first step. That's quite the like awakening once you realize like, oh wow, this is really affecting me in a lot of ways.
Yes.
Yeah. So if someone is feeling overwhelmed and they don't know like where to start to feel better, what would you suggest to them?
My first suggestion, and this might be a little unpopular, just cry. Get it all out. Like, journal, cry, get out all the feels. Like, after you have a really good cry and you're just so tired, sometimes you just need that. I
It is so cathartic, though. Yeah,
it
I
it
definitely
it really
agree.
is. So, just, like, allow yourself to cry and not be the strong person for 10, 15, 20 minutes, however long you need, because I know you've been there and you are being strong because you feel like you have to, but it's okay to let your feelings take over. And then my next suggestion, make a brain dump. And you don't have to schedule, just make a brain dump. And then also write out or think about, okay, what would I like for my life to look like? And what can I change? So maybe they're having a really tough time like making meals every single night for their entire family. Okay, how can we change that? Maybe make meals 3 times a night, but make enough so that you have leftovers. Or crock pot dinners where you can just throw everything together.
That sounds like a great place to start. I'm definitely going to try the brain dump thing and really focus on prioritizing the needs versus the wants. I feel like that's such a huge distinction. And there's so much you can dig into there of like how much is actually a need.
Yes, because we really don't need quite as much on our plate as we think we do. And if, doing those 3 priorities a day is too much, start with 1. Start with 2. And you can even spread this out over multiple days. You're like, "Okay, I have this really big project to do, but Jessica said, 1 priority a day." No, no, I'm not saying that. If this is gonna take you, like, 3 days to do, make it your intention every single day and then break that down into, like, thirds. So don't go into a place of, like, overwhelming yourself by trying to do, all of that one day if it's just not gonna happen. Like, for example, you said you homeschool your kids and you're home with your kids, and here you are rocking a podcast and, in a business. So I'm not gonna tell you, "Okay, yeah, you need to plan out, like, 5 months worth of podcasts in one day." No, no, bite size and look at where you're at in life and what's attainable for you realistically.
Yeah, that makes way too much sense. Like, yes, I love that. All right. Well, this has all been incredibly helpful. I know I'm excited to use it. I think the listeners will also be excited to implement these things. And you have a guide for them too, right? Can you tell us about it?
Yes. So I have a guide called 5 Steps to Feeling Less Overwhelmed Every Day. And my brain dump is in there, obviously, because I love that thing. But I also have 4 more steps that you can start implementing today. And I promise you, it's not going to make you more overwhelmed. The key is to take things off your plate so that you can feel better. If you want to go get that guide, you can go to my website. I'm sure that the link will probably be in the description and you can sign up for it there. And then it's yours for life. And if you get it and implement it, please let me know how it is helping you or if you have any questions at all, because I truly want you to feel less overwhelmed.
That's amazing. I'm so excited. I'm definitely going to get it. I'm going to link it in the show notes. And I'm also going to link your Instagram profile so that everyone can follow you and get your awesome content in their feeds as reminders as well.
Yes, I love that. I would love to follow along with you guys also. So please reach out and let me know that you found me from this podcast.
Yeah. And what is your Instagram handle?
My Instagram is at Jessica Hacker.
Perfect. Very easy to remember. So go follow Jessica, download her guide, and thank you so much for coming on, Jessica. I really appreciate it. It was great to talk to you.
Thank you so much for having me. I had so much fun.
Thank you so much for listening. If this content was helpful for you, if you found it valuable, I would love it if you could leave a review on Apple Podcasts so that other mom business owners can find this episode and get the same tips and strategies to support their business and their families. If you have questions or just want to connect, you can find me over on Instagram. My handle is @socially.yours.strategist.